We're going to get back to the CDC's announcement that fully vaccinated people can go maskless in most settings. Take it off is what they say. Well, they didn't actually say that, but I'm not a scientist. They are scientists.
I thought of a different thing when you said take it off.
The idea of taking it off. The idea of taking it off has some people quite excited about returning to pre-pandemic life. Others, not so much. They're a little hesitant. The question now is, what about the psychological effects of the pandemic? Will they be long-term? And if wearing a mask may become a little more common? We want to dig into that. We want to bring in, we want to speak more rather on the psychology of wearing masks. And I want to bring Dr. Kathryn Smerling. She's a psychotherapist in New York City. Thanks for joining us, Doctor. I think this is a great topic because I got to tell you, I am one of those people that when I heard the CDC guidance, I was like, okay, but I think I'll just keep my mask pretty handy. There are a lot of things about mask wearing I actually liked. And, I was one of those people that thought, I can't believe I haven't been doing this. And Vlad, I know that we've talked about this before, that, long before this, sometimes you would see people from Asian countries in New York or in Philadelphia, they would have masks on, and you'd think, that is so strange. And now
you get it.
It's a completely different attitude. You totally get why they were wearing masks, because in a number of Asian countries, wearing masks is not out of the ordinary. It wasn't before the pandemic. So there are a lot of people who still aren't willing to give up wearing their masks. I know why. I like the mask. It's a bit of a security blanket. Why do you think most people might want to hang on to it? Or not most people, but some people might want to hang on to it.
Masks give us some kind of anonymity, and that means that we can be a little bit more private and a little bit more select in how we want to show our faces. Very often, people have become used to the anonymity that a mask gives us, and we can walk down the street and people don't recognize us. When we not wearing masks, we are required to smile, to make eye contact, and things that people have gotten used to not doing. The masks also give us some sense of security, whether false or not, that there is some safety in it. And we have grown accustomed to becoming anxious about the COVID virus and about all the other particles in the air that can possibly harm us. The mask gives us a sense of security and makes us feel more comfortable. But that said, I live in New York City, and I walked out of my apartment building this morning, and everyone was still wearing masks. There was no one that was not wearing a mask. So I wonder if people are going to be loath to give up the security of wearing a mask for being right outside. I think, as a Massachusetts governor said yesterday, that why so fast? Why are we going so fast? Let's go a little bit slower so that we can move through the process of getting used to being in the new normal in a way that's safe and secure, and it doesn't have to be all of a sudden we have to do this. And it's also a cultural thing, because there are some states where masks aren't being worn at all, like in Florida. And there are some states like New York and Massachusetts that people will hold on to mask wearing for safety, for security, for a sense of a caution that might not be available in other places in the United States. It's definitely more of a cultural aspect to it than we have allowed ourselves to see.
I think Dr. Emery, pointed out, and you just did as well, that in some other countries that masks are normal to wear, especially if you have a cold or if you're suffering from some ailment, you wear a mask. And the message has always been, and I've lived in Asia and spent a lot of time in Asia, the message has always been you are protecting others. You're not protecting yourself, you're protecting others from becoming infected with whatever it is that you have. I think it was interesting that President Biden yesterday encouraged Americans to be kind to their fellow citizens who are struggling to perhaps remove the mask. I get that there are some people who see politics and everything, and there are some people on the right, for example, who are mocking of people that they perceive to be on the left who are clinging to their masks because of some of the things that you mentioned. But you know, it strikes me that in this country, we're a country of extremes. You know, you see a lot of people throwing their mask away, never going to have to deal with it ever again. I mean, the notion that you might keep it around because perhaps as we get closer to flu season, why not wear the mask if we understand now that it can protect others and can protect you as well? What's wrong with that? So I get that there's a little bit of psychology involved in this and that people are going to have some, you know, it's been a year and a half that we've been told to wear these masks. But for those who are ready to ditch them, I applaud you. For those that are still a little apprehensive, I applaud you. Do whatever it is that you feel. You're not bothering anybody. You're not hurting anybody. And by wearing it, you actually are protecting others. I don't know if that's how you see it.
I think that makes total sense. And I think that the idea of being kind to others is something that we have to perpetrate a little bit more in this country, and especially in New York City and other places where there's a real density of population. And I think by wearing a mask, you can control the spread of disease, and you are being kind to others, and you're being considerate, and you're being reciprocal. So I don't think there's anything wrong with wearing a mask. It's all a personal comfort. And I don't believe that people should denigrate each other for either wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. It's your own psychological safety, and that has to feel comfortable for you. And what might feel comfortable for you is protecting other people and also protecting yourself. We don't have answers, so it's a matter of personal choice, which I think is very important in today's world.
I think that's really good advice, Doctor. You know, what kind of stood out to me about what you said about why people might want to keep wearing their masks is that, you know, for many people, preventing the spread of COVID or any other illness is actually just a small part of the reason we either hang on to our masks or don't. You know, when we, you know, all those people that, you know, didn't want to wear the mask, you know, a lot of them felt like it was a violation of their rights. And, you know, those on the other side, you know, were critical. Oh, and you don't care about other people, all you care about is your rights. But then, you know, you pointed out that sometimes, you know, you want to hang on to your mask because you enjoy the anonymity. You enjoy not having to smile. You enjoyed, you know, the fact that your neighbor who you only kind of sort of know down the street didn't recognize you, and so you don't feel like you have to engage in the pleasantries. Like, that's kind of liberating to a certain degree. So I'm wondering if these are the sort of things that you talk about with your patients, like not about the mask as it's connected to COVID, but about the mask as it's connected to all these other things that maybe you appreciated about the way it changed our lives, or you know, didn't like about the way it changed our lives.
I definitely speak to a lot of people about it. I speak to all my clients about it because they have to be comfortable wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. For instance, when I am in my office and I have been vaccinated for quite a while now, I always ask my patients and my clients if they prefer to be with a mask or not be with a mask. There is a way that the mask hides your feelings. It does give you the anonymous quality that often we want and we crave. And a mask is a metaphor for a lot of things for different people. So everyone, you'd be surprised, everyone has very different reasons for either wearing a mask or not wearing a mask. And it has become a comfort and a habit. Remember, it's been a long time. It's been well over a year. And we have become accustomed to wearing masks. And that for each one of us has our own personal reason and our own personal understanding of what it means to be safe, to feel safe. Some people don't need that, but a lot of people have their own personal reasons and personal rationale based upon their own personality type for wearing or not wearing a mask. I think masks will be around for a longer period of time than expected. I think people do like the anonymity. I think people do like the fact that they actually feel safer wearing a mask and they're protecting other people.
You know,
so I think they'll be around for more time than you think. I think we'll be surprised. And it might be a seasonal thing. In the fall, people might pick up wearing masks because it'll be flu season. So I think during the summer, it may be less and less. But I think during the fall and the winter, people will be back to wearing masks.
Doctor, one of the things that I think, you tell me because you're the psychoanalyst, but it also strikes me that perhaps the way you approach mask wearing from the beginning may also have something to do with the way you feel about it now. And what I mean by that is, if from the moment that these mandates went into place, you thought, as Anne-Marie signaled, that you were somehow being restricted, that your life was somehow being put on hold, or that you were being forced to do something you didn't want to do, or you hate walking around with it, you hate working out with it, it drives you crazy. I think that has a lot to do with it, as opposed to somebody who said, well, you got to do it because it's the CDC and our doctors are telling us it's the right thing to do, or even if you just thought to yourself, well, if I want to get into the store, I got to wear it. So let me just sort of suck it up and do what I need to do to get by, and then get home and not worry about it. That also may play a part into those folks who are like, oh, I'm burning my mask today, and others who are like, it's great. I don't have to wear it. I'm happy, but it doesn't have to be this extremist, free at last, because it's not that.
Wearing a mask has been a process. It's been a journey for just about everyone. I think at the beginning, people felt it was very strange, and now people have gotten used to it. There are also, and in New York City, there are signs all around, only 3 people in a store. Please wear your mask. This is a mask-wearing office. This is a mask-wearing bank. Put your mask on. So we've been reminded and acculturated to the idea of wearing masks over this past year. And I think at first it was a very strange, I know I felt as though it was a strange and appendage to my face. And now I feel so differently about it. And I think most people have gotten used to the idea that they're doing it to protect themselves and protect other people. This is not something which is imposed on you. I think that we have internalized it to make it work as a society. And I think that's what's really important, because we live within a larger realm of society. We don't operate independently. We're interrelated, and we do have to protect other people around us. And that has been inculcated, and I believe that more and more people feel that way now than they did a year ago. I think things have changed.
All right, Dr. Kathryn Smerling. Sorry, Anne-Marie, go ahead.
I was just going to say my favorite thing about wearing a mask is makeup only from the eyes up. Such a relief. I know, Vlad, you might not understand that struggle, or you won't understand that struggle. Well, but for a woman, it was quite a relief.
I will say, so just on the lighthearted side of things, I'll say that you've heard me say this before, Anne-Marie, that when I'm running, when I'm jogging, working out on the streets of New York, I've noticed since I started wearing the mask to do that when we had to, that there's a lot of stuff coming out of my nose and my mouth when I'm jogging in a heavy jog in Central Park. So, I'm actually grossed out myself. I'm like, wow, I got to, cover that up. And then the other side of that is I actually do miss seeing people's smiles. I like, I'm a big grinner. I'm always grinning. And I like to see other people smiling too. So I have missed that. But I get, the idea of not having to, see your neighbor if you don't want to.
It's interesting. I think we've all had to learn how to smile with our eyes.
That's true, Doctor. I agree. I agree.
Yes.
Very good point. Dr. Kathryn Smerling, thank you very, very much. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.